Hi students, I'm Una.
And I'm Scott.
I'm a PTE teacher from the UK.
I'm also a PTE teacher from the UK.
And we've been helping students pass their exams for years.
And now we're excited to help you pass your exam too.
Welcome to the Swoosh English PTE podcast.
Let's get started. Hello and welcome to the Swoosh PTE podcast, episode 2. My name is Scott.
And my name is Una.
And Una, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Scott?
I've been pretty good. I've had quite a busy week with Swoosh English, teaching some live lessons, meeting some new students, planning some of the content and the material. It's been good.
Yeah, it's been great getting to meet new students, hasn't it, with the live lessons?
It's always nice meeting new students, partly why I do this job.
Exactly.
All right, so Una, what are we talking about today?
Well, Scott, today we're talking about the exciting task of write essay.
Write essay, everyone's favorite, I'm sure, who's watching online. Yeah,
exactly. We love getting stuck into a good essay task.
Yeah, to be actually a little bit serious for a second, a lot of students do have a bit of an issue with writing. It obviously is quite a formidable and intimidating task, write essay. I mean, when you compare it to the IELTS exam, for example, it's a lot shorter and there's a lot more to consider in a shorter period of time. So no doubt, people are going to be hopefully interested and find some interesting tips with what we're going to discuss today.
Yes, definitely. Hopefully we'll get some good tips.
With write essay. All right. So let's start today by discussing the essay overview.
Yeah.
So what are the technical components of this task? Una, can you relate any to me?
Okay, yes. So our write essay task, we usually get about 1 to 2 of write essay on the day of the exam.
Yeah.
So of course, a lot of people are going to be going into that exam thinking, please let me only have 1.
You might not get 1, just so you know. You might get
possible.
2. They might even change it and give you 3.
Oh, no, don't say that. But yeah, usually 1 to 2, okay? And it's 20 minutes. So you have 20 minutes to write this essay. Like you said, half the time of the IELTS one.
Yeah, IELTS exam, just for reference, is 40 minutes for the same amount of words for this task. So PTE Write Essay task is a lot more intimidating and it's a lot more rushed than any other examinations. Pretty difficult.
Pretty intense.
Damn you, Pearson. Oh.
Okay, so yeah, and it's 200 to 300 words.
200 to 300 words, just so you know. Yeah, that's your lower word limit, 200 words, and your upper word limit of 300 words. So that's just some of the technical components of the examination. Just to recap, 200 to 300 words. You have 20 minutes to write each essay. Remember, you might have 1 to 2 of these. So it does take up a large amount of time on the day of the examination.
Yes, within that writing section.
Yeah. All right.
So let's have a look now at the scoring.
Right. So you are scored, not we. Well, I'm not doing the PT examination. You are scored on the following sections. Content.
Okay, content.
What about what is content, Una?
So that is, of course, referring to sticking to that topic.
Right.
Okay, so you need to really analyze that question. What is the topic and what are you being asked to do in your essay?
To make sure, you are just obviously fulfilling all the criteria of the write essay section itself. You've analyzed your question, you've got your supporting points, and also you've fulfilled all of the structural components of the essay, which we're going to go through very soon in this podcast.
Yes, definitely. So sticking to that question, that's really important. It's so easy to just start writing and go off topic.
Yes.
You wouldn't believe it.
Yes.
You might think it's obvious. Oh, of course, stick to the question. But actually, you can really end up going off topic.
I know, my mind likes to go off topic and off in the tangent every so often when I'm thinking about things. The same could happen to you.
Yeah. Yes, so really sticking to that topic is
important.
All
right, so that's content.
Okay,
and then you
content.
have form.
Form. So
what is form?
That's as simple as sticking to the word count. So as we said, 200 to 300 words. And it is, you might think, oh, so many words, but actually it's very short. You could usually end up writing more, but we need to stick to that form. Okay?
Is more better than less?
I think about 250 words is a really good number to stick to.
It is. It's a nice medium ground, because if you're in a 250 word section, then you obviously are hopefully satisfying all the content criteria. You're still writing an essay of appropriate length, and it's nice in the middle, so you don't risk going over or going under while still getting all those marks.
And you're saving yourself time. Of course, writing 300 words is going to take more time. You'd probably leave more time for review.
Precisely. If you can write something as good in 250 words versus 300 words, then go for 250 every single time.
You can get in all your points in that amount of words.
All right. Next, we have our development, which includes our structure and our coherence.
Yes, your development, structure, and coherence. So that is, of course, does your essay flow well? Is it structured well? Does it have a logical manner and flow?
Yes, so do your ideas just flow into each other? Is it progressing somewhere? Not just random points put together. Is there a coherence to it
they're
as
connected well.
And also our structure. So our structure needs obviously to have our 4 sections of an essay, which are of course the introduction, our main body, and our conclusion. So they need to obviously flow in a nice logical order. You might obviously think about, oh, you've written 3 main paragraphs, you forgot the conclusion. That will unfortunately make you lose marks for that scoring criteria for this examination.
Yes, definitely.
Then we're talking about vocabulary. Yes. What can you talk about vocabulary, Una?
So within the vocabulary, it's really just making sure that you include a good range of vocabulary, academic vocabulary, and of course using synonyms throughout in your essay.
Yep. So using synonyms, making sure you're able to paraphrase effectively. But for vocabulary, obviously you're going to be writing about some very academic subject matters. So you want to ensure that you have researched that essay prompt in your own time, that you are familiar with the vocabulary that can be used and you use it appropriately throughout.
Yes, you raise a good point, Scott. So of course there are a lot of different essay topics that we can come across, but you can really plan and prepare for a lot of topics. You never know, you might get lucky on the day, and then you will have a really good range of vocabulary if you have researched the kind of topics that come up a lot in these exams.
Excellent. Now we'll just focus on the last 2 points together, which are spelling and grammar. So pretty self-explanatory with spelling. Make sure you've spelt things correctly. That's all I can say.
Yes.
Make sure everything's spelled correctly.
Yes, so you're really going to give yourself lots of spelling tests coming up to the day of the exam.
Excellent. What do you think about grammar then?
Grammar, yes. Yeah, so just making sure that, you keep it simple and don't try and give yourself too many big grammatical structures if you're not confident with them.
Yes, of course you want to be able to use complex structures pretty well, but if you can't, then try and use a simpler grammatical form instead.
Yeah.
For example, you're trying to write in the past perfect, but you can't join the 2 clauses together. See if you can rewrite the sentence in the past simple, for example. It's better to use simple structures accurately than complex structures inaccurately.
Definitely.
Okay, that's about it for the content or the scoring. We'll go through them again. Just content, form, development, coherence, structure, vocabulary, spelling, and grammar. Pause the video. Just learn them in your own time. Make sure that you are aware of them.
Yes,
when you do the
consider these when you're doing your essay.
Precisely. Excellent. All right, let's move on to our next point today, which are the types of task. Una, what types of tasks do you have to do for Write Essay?
Okay, so this is just referring to the different kinds of questions that you can come across
Precisely.
For Write Essay. So we have advantages and disadvantages essays, where you have to discuss, of course, the advantages and disadvantages of one particular statement or one particular topic
or argument.
Yes. Yep. Then we have, do you agree or disagree?
Yes.
With the particular statement,
which is much more opinionative.
Yes.
Obviously, advantages and disadvantages are also quite opinionative, but it might be more technical. But agree, disagree is asking you for your opinion on this topic matter, which is very important. We also have benefits and problems. So there might be an issue that's stated in society or in a trend, and obviously there's going to be a degree of difference in opinion with that. So we have obviously what are the problems with a certain issue and what are the benefits? How can you weigh them up? But the important part about this essay subtopic versus the others is that you're focusing on elaborating on the benefits and the problems, not really giving your opinion about why they are so, just basically some of your rational reasoning.
Yeah, very good.
Right. And also just keep in mind that most of the essays are argumentative. You have to give your opinion on a certain topic and outline your arguments based around that.
And I think an important thing to say, Scott, is that a lot of students get bogged down worrying, don't maybe have an opinion on that, or my opinion on that's not that well developed.
Precisely.
But it doesn't have to actually be your opinion.
So do you think opinions matter necessarily in this?
No, I think that as long as you develop your argument well, it doesn't have to be your opinion. Don't get bogged down in that.
Precisely.
You might not actually believe it, but there's actually more arguments that stack up and that would help you write a better essay.
Precisely. Don't worry, you're not being attached to a lie detector in this examination. You're not also being assessed on your moral decency as well. So don't worry about it. If you find it easy to write about, then write about it. It's fine. No one's judging you.
Exactly, and no one's going to know. Okay,
well, PT people will know, but no one else will know.
No, they're not going to know. So just pick a side that is you know the most about, and you think you'd be able to develop the best argument. At the end of the day, you're being assessed on your writing skills and how you can maybe look at both sides of the argument, or how you can develop your writing.
All right, excellent. So that's the type of task. Let's now look into our 4th point, and one I find is very, very important, and that is time management. So personally, I think that, as we've mentioned before, that you don't have much time for this task when comparing it to other academic essays. You have 20 minutes in total. It's not a lot of time to do what you have to do. So, what do you think is the best way to break down this task in terms of your time?
Okay, so first thing we're going to do, very important, is our planning. Okay, so sometimes people are tempted to just start writing, just get straight into that task, but you haven't taken time to really get your ideas clear in your head. Okay, so take the time, analyze the focus of that question. So you have 1 to 2 minutes really on planning.
Yes.
Okay.
About that.
Yeah, take the time. Don't consider that a waste of time. Planning is very important in order to get
Actually,
your
yeah,
structure.
on the contrary, I think it's a very, very important use of your time, because if you don't get that planning section down and solidified, then your rest of your essay is going to suffer. You might even go off topic and then risk scoring 0. So
Definitely.
do not skip on the planning time. Do not panic and think that you should be writing straight away.
Yeah, definitely. And then, 15, 16 minutes on your actual writing.
Yeah, so the majority of the time is going to go into writing, obviously.
Writing your introduction, your 2 main body paragraphs, and your conclusion. And then what is one of the most important sections that you should devote your time to?
That is your review.
Yes, your read and review, definitely. Don't underestimate the importance of this section. It's so important. This is whenever you're going to pick up on all of those little silly mistakes that you may have made as you're just trying to get all your ideas down. So, this is checking your grammar, your spelling.
Your word counts.
Yes, definitely, that you're definitely within that
Your
word count.
cohesion, your sentences. Basically, if you have time, read it back to yourself and go, does this make sense? If not, oh my goodness, I have to make some changes.
Yes, so again, maybe 2 to 3 minutes on this.
Yep.
I would
agree.
definitely make sure that you try and leave time for reading and reviewing, and you're going to catch all those silly mistakes that we all make, regardless of, our ability or our level.
We don't make mistakes, do we?
Never.
We do. Just as a recap, though, 1-2 minutes in your planning, about 15 minutes in your writing, about 2 to 3 minutes in your review section. Make sure you allocate roughly about that time to each section. Don't think that your planning is a waste of time, nor is your review. They're very important in the writing process.
Definitely not.
All right.
So, Scott, what about the planning then?
So planning. So what should you do when you're planning? Well, the first thing you should do, obviously, is when you get into your essay, look at the question prompt. And you have to look at 2 things in your question prompt. They are, what is the topic focus? That's obviously going to give you a view on the wider topic you're going to be discussing. And then you have to look at the topical question as well. These are the 2 things you need to analyze and, set down on, make sure you're aware of what they are when you start. So I'll give you an example of a prompt here and see which part you think is the topical focus and which point that you think is the question you have to answer. The internet is one of the greatest inventions of all time and has brought nothing but positive developments to our lives. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Una, which part of that was the focus?
Very good. So, of course, it's the internet being a positive development in our lives and the greatest invention.
Yep, so that's
Yes.
topical focus. That's giving you an idea about the topic you're going to discuss in terms of the wider argument, and then obviously focuses in on how you're going to brainstorm and relate to that topic for your argument. And what is the question?
So, to what extent do you agree or disagree
So
with this argument?
Yeah, precisely. So
Yes.
therefore we have now highlighted what the essay is asking us to do, which is an argumentative essay on do you agree or disagree.
Yeah, so you're going to be giving your opinion on this matter. So, of course, you can choose to, in this time now, in your planning, you're going to choose, are you going to approach this from both sides? So are you going to give a paragraph on agreeing with this point and a paragraph on disagreeing? Or are you going to just choose one of those?
Yes.
Okay, so are you going to just talk about the reasons why you agree or the reasons why you disagree?
Yeah, taking that one side and fleshing out your argument
Yes.
based on that. All
So,
right.
of course, that's going to be it depends on the person. But sometimes it can be easier just to stick to one side of it. Yeah, so maybe just go with disagree.
Yeah.
And then have your one point in one body paragraph and another point in another body paragraph.
Precisely. Good. Yep. So that's what we're going to be doing. Don't forget, when you start, the first thing you do is highlight your topic focus, highlight what the question's asking you to do, and then decide on your stance. Do you agree or disagree if it's an argumentative essay?
Make your decision.
All
Yes. Hi all. We're going to grab a quick cup of coffee. While we're gone, go to pte.swishenglish.com and grab your free PTE starter course, a gift to get you started on your PTE preparation. That's pte.swishenglish.com for your free PTE starter course.
So then we move on to the first part of our essay writing process, which is the introduction. Can you tell me about the introduction, Una?
Okay, so in our introduction, we are going to paraphrase the question. Okay, so basically you need to give an essay outline, what exactly that essay is going to be about. And how do we do that? We simply paraphrase that question.
All right.
So we want to make sure that we use synonyms and words that are, of course, very similar to the words in the question, but not the same. We don't want to just use that question word for
No,
word.
you shouldn't be using that question because that's lazy, and unfortunately you won't get any marks for directly taking the question title and then not paraphrasing it amongst everything else. So you want to be able to do that. Basically, you're taking the topic question and you're putting it into your argument. So I'm going to be doing this on the fly. So don't judge me if I'm a little bit slow in making some synonyms. What's our title? The internet is one of the greatest inventions of all time and has brought nothing but positive developments to our lives. So internet could be the World Wide Web. Greatest could be best. Inventions could be devices. All time could be forever. Nothing. Nothing. Can you think of a word for nothing?
Nothing. Only. So
Only?
you could change it
Yeah.
the internet has brought only good developments.
Nice save. Thank you very much. Positive could be beneficial. Developments could be ideas or ideas.
Developments. We thought about a word earlier, but it's left me now.
Developments could be assertions or improvements. There's one. Improvements.
Yes.
To our lives could be our existence. So there's an idea about how we can paraphrase that topic and insert that in at the very, very beginning.
Yeah, and of course you can reword it. You know, you don't have to just stick it with synonyms.
And then we move on to, once you paraphrase the question, you're then going to give your essay outline.
Your essay outline. So that's going to basically inform your reader the structure of your essay. So exactly what body paragraph 1 is going to mention, the topic of body paragraph 1 and the topic of body paragraph 2.
Yeah, so how would you go about doing that?
So you would simply so what was your question? How would you go about doing?
How would you go about inserting that essay outline? Just from my opinion, it's a good idea not to use personal pronouns such as this essay will discuss, I will give the opinion of, it is my opinion of this. Instead, you could say, for example, you obviously want to have maybe 2 points in your essay. I'm going to give 2 points in this example. So, paraphrase, the internet is one of the greatest inventions of all time. That'll be your first sentence. And the next sentence would be, 2 important factors in this debate are point 1 and point 2. Or it is necessary to discuss the following 2 points, point 1 and point 2. Just some ideas about how you can give your essay outline, informing the reader about what's going to be discussed in the essay.
Yeah, it's a good idea, like you said, to avoid that, the personal pronoun saying, I will discuss in this essay.
No, you shouldn't be using informal register, and that's just common academic knowledge across all essays, not necessarily PTE, but other exam suites too. Avoid using personal pronouns. Take yourself away from the question. Assess it in a more third person and universal sense. All right. So that's an idea to the introduction. We then move on to our main body. So what does the main body consist of, Una?
Yes, so the main body is going to have, so it depends. It depends if you're approaching the argument via, so for example, with this question today, are we going to say, okay, some people agree with the first paragraph and then some people disagree, reasons why it could be disagreed? Or are you going to do, 2 reasons why the internet is a positive development?
Yeah. And what should you do with those 2, in terms of the structure, what should you do with those 2 ideas? How should your main body be structured?
So the paragraph is going to have your topic sentence. So every paragraph should begin with the topic sentence, which is your topic, of course, and your controlling idea of that essay, of that body paragraph.
Yes, precisely.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I took the idea that I disagreed that the internet is one of the greatest inventions of all time, I would have hopefully taken my ideas in my brainstorming planning process, and I would have come up with the following 2 ideas. That 1, the internet is addictive, and 2, the internet has led to the rise of cyberbullying. So one aspect I could discuss in my topic sentence would be, I could use obviously I'm going to completely disagree with this essay statement. I could take a conjunction of sequence and say, for example, firstly, the widespread use of the internet has led to a rise of cyberbullying. That's a topic sentence. We now have the idea about what we're going to discuss further in our essay.
Yeah, and then throughout that body paragraph, you're going to provide supporting details to back up your claim about cyberbullying or the addictive nature not bringing positive developments to our society.
Exactly. And we maybe start with giving our supporting details by using phrases like, for example, for instance, to highlight. We would then use those to give a personal example about how that can relate to it. So you might quote a statistic, or you might obviously think about something that has led to the rise of cyberbullying in a practical example.
Yeah.
And then we finish off with our reflection and summary, basically explaining in your own words about what that means. So, what sounds am I making in this podcast? So, you obviously have your topical idea, you then have your example, and then you will explain what that means in your own words by stating something like, the rise of cyberbullying goes to show that this has happened, and why that has happened.
Yeah, very good. So some sort of summary or conclusion sentence in your body paragraph.
And then how many main body paragraphs should you have in this essay?
So 2. For the PTE structure, 2 essays. I know a lot of other essays, that you may have written in university, you're going to have a lot more paragraphs. But of course, we don't have the word count for this essay, so we're writing our 2 body paragraphs and just stick to that, really.
Yes, besides 2 body paragraphs, don't write any more. You don't have the time nor the words to write it. So obviously 2 paragraphs for, 2 paragraphs against. That's all you need.
And don't try and get too many points into those paragraphs.
No, you should be focusing on 1 point per paragraph. Think of the structure. You have... when you brainstorm in your planning stage, you should have your 2 points. So body paragraph 1 will be first point, fleshed out topic sentence, giving your example, and then your summary. Repeat for the second paragraph.
Yes. So give yourself ample words to flesh it out instead of trying to get too many points in. And, a lot of if you try to get too many points in, you might end up going off topic as well.
Yeah, and then also you won't follow the ideal structure for that as well.
It's
not necessarily rocket science. Obviously, it's about learning the structural ideas of this essay, but it's not rocket science if you learn how to do it and then follow it religiously, I suppose.
Yes.
All right. So let me move on finally to our last section, which is the conclusion. So what is the conclusion, Una?
So you're going to begin your conclusion with a phrase such as, in conclusion.
That's the one.
I was going to say in overall.
Don't say that. Do not say in overall.
Overall, in summary,
to sum up,
conclude, these kind of phrases. So it really indicates that this is now your conclusion paragraph.
Yeah, that's your conjunction.
Yes.
It's used to indicate that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
And what should the conclusion consist of?
So you're going to summarize basically the main points that you've made in your essay. So it's basically summarizing again, and then you can finish off with a final sentence that is maybe a prediction for the future or a final thought
or opinion you have on the essay. So basically, what it should be is basically another way of writing the introduction. It should paraphrase that directly.
Yeah.
Should the conclusion conclude? Yes, it should conclude. Should it include any new ideas?
No, your conclusion should not bring up any new points that you haven't raised already in the essay. It's too late at that point to bring up any new points. So simply don't do it.
No, don't do it. They should be contained in the main body. You should not be including any new ideas in that conclusion. It serves as a summary and as a paraphrasing of the conclusion, of the introduction. And also, should you give any ideas in the conclusion in the first person perspective, using pronouns like I or we?
Always we like to avoid using these kind of words.
Exactly.
So there's always a way that you can word it where you're basically stating your opinion, but you're not actually using these words.
Yeah,
okay?
that's good.
So try and avoid.
Try and use third person perspectives in a formal sense if you can.
Yes.
All right. So let's move on to our penultimate point, which is the transition words and phrases. So we talked about the structure, we talked about the scoring, but obviously with this essay, it's highly useful for you to use the transition phrases to give your structure of your essay a nice flow.
Yes, using transition words gives your essay a really good flow. But I really want to highlight, after having read a lot of essays from students, don't overuse transition words. So although we're going to talk about the importance of transition words, one thing that really just ruins an essay is whenever there's a transition word at the beginning of every sentence.
Does that grind your gears?
It just really does, Scott. It just doesn't sound good. And native speakers wouldn't do it. We wouldn't use a transition word at the beginning of every sentence.
Now the students aren't going to use any transition words because they're scared of offending you.
Transition words are important, but please don't use too many.
Yeah, so let's think of examples of transition words. Obviously, if you are going to be talking about similar aspects in an essay where you purely agree or disagree, you want to link your paragraphs together with sequencing transition words such as firstly, the first point, secondly, thirdly, etc., etc. But usually you only use firstly and secondly because you only have 2 main points.
Yeah.
You might also use Other transition words such as in addition and moreover and furthermore to link two similar points together as well.
So to link your similar points or adding more backup information.
Yes.
To back up your point, adding more information. So you said furthermore, moreover, also.
These are adverbial phrases that are used as conjunctions at the beginning of sentences.
Really useful to link your points together.
Yeah.
And then also we can look at some contrasting points. So whenever you want to make a point that, is going off in a different way or disagrees with the previous
contrast,
point
it goes in the opposite end of the argument. You can use transition words such as on the contrary, in contrast,
on the other hand,
which is often used with the one hand, however, yes.
Although, and of course there's lots of different words. We can find really long lists of transition words and really learn how to use those throughout our essays.
And we already discussed the phrases you can use to indicate your conclusion's beginning, to sum up, in summary, to conclude, in conclusion as well.
Yes.
Use those whenever you're beginning your conclusion remarks.
Very good.
All right. So what would be just to wrap up today, what would be your number one tip for Write Essay? If you had to do anything as a student, what would it be?
Well, first of all, I would really focus on that planning section. Throughout university myself, whenever I was writing essays, planning was so important, really, and it really helped the writing stage. If you had it really clear in your head exactly what you were going to talk about, you had your point down for the first paragraph, maybe even a couple of examples quickly you could write down.
Yeah, precisely.
And then your second body paragraph and the point. So definitely making sure that you have that planning stage and you use it effectively.
Yeah.
And then simply using simple and concise grammar throughout your essay. So don't overbear yourself by trying to write too many complex sentences. Really try and keep it simple. Okay, and keep to the point.
Yes, I would agree.
What do you think?
Yep, as I said before, there's no need to waffle. People probably will waffle in order to try and sound more intelligent and more academic. So it's a good idea just to keep in mind that you want to stick to that structure, and that keeps it simple for yourself.
Yeah, don't
if
be
you stick
too
to that
wordy.
structure, don't be too wordy. Use your big academic words, but use them effectively. But also use it simply as well, and think about how could I write this in the least amount of words possible. Because get the most information through with the least amount of words as possible, but also fulfilling all the other ideas.
Yes.
Yep, I would agree with that. That's fantastic. All right, so that's the end of the podcast today for Write Essay. We hope you enjoyed watching or listening wherever you're listening and watching from. And we'll see you for the next episode. Good luck with your PTE Write Essay if you're doing it.
Yes, thanks so much for joining us today, guys. And we hope you got some good tips. See you again soon.
Bye.
Are you struggling with your PTE exam preparation? Are you unsure how to get that score of 65, 79, or even 90? Let us help you get there. Please go to pte.swooshenglish.com and enter discount code PTE10 in order to receive 10% discount on any course.